Hello, everyone. This is Pınar Çelikcan from the British Embassy, Ankara, and I'm the fund manager of the Newton Katip Çelebi Fund in Turkey. And today I'm replacing Nick Mellers, the Science and Innovation Regional Lead. I would like to welcome you all to our second Newton for Climate webinar. You know, climate change is affecting every country in the world, and it is disrupting national economies and affecting lives and livelihoods, especially for the most vulnerable. Weather patterns are changing, sea levels are rising, and weather events are becoming more and more extreme. If left unchecked, climate change will cause average global temperatures to increase beyond 3 degrees Celsius and will adversely affect every ecosystem. Already, we are seeing how climate change can exacerbate storms and disasters, and threats such as food and water scarcity, which can lead to conflict. Doing nothing will end up costing us a lot more than if we take action now. We have an opportunity to take actions that will lead to more jobs, great prosperity, and better lives for all, while reducing greenhouse gas emissions and building climate resilience. To address climate change, we have to vastly increase our efforts. Much is happening around the world. Investments in renewable energy have soared, but so much more needs to be done. The world must transform its energy, industry, transport, food, agriculture, and forestry systems to ensure that we can limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Relatively, the next few weeks will be crucial in deciding how the world takes action. We are very proud that the UK will host the 26th UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties, COP26, in Glasgow this year. The COP26 summit will bring parties together to accelerate action towards the goals of the Paris Agreement and the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. During COP26, countries will work together to secure global net zero by mid-century and keep global temperatures under 1.5 degrees. If this is to succeed, we need science and technology to step up and provide the solutions that will make it possible for the world to lower our carbon emissions. So I'm delighted that today we are continuing this series of webinars, which will demonstrate the impact of the successful joint research funded by the UK and Turkish governments under the Newton Katip Çelebi Fund. We will talk about our speakers' experience in Newton Katip Çelebi Fund, the problems they are addressing with their research, and their achievements as well. For our participants who are not familiar with it, the Newton Fund is a unique program that aims to build research and innovation partnerships with 17 countries around the world to support economic development and social welfare, tackle global challenges, and develop talent and careers. The grants under Newton Katip Çelebi Fund include mobility grants, fellowships, joint research projects, innovation projects, entrepreneurship trainings, and workshop grants. And in Turkey, the UK is working very closely with the Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey, TÜBİTAK, as the main local partner under the Newton Katip Çelebi Fund since 2014. And the fund has provided around £30 million to more than 450 projects since 2014. So before we start, I would like to give some housekeeping for the webinar. As I have already mentioned, this is the second webinar in Newton for Climate series. If you have missed the first webinar, you can always watch it from the YouTube channel named British Embassy, Ankara. And as we go along through the event, please do ask your questions to our speakers via the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. We will do our best to pick some of those out at the end. Now, I would like to introduce our valuable speakers who received funding from Research Environment Links grant of British Council under the Newton Katip Çelebi Fund. Dr. Soroosh Sharifi from University of Birmingham School of Civil Engineering is the co-private investigator of the UK team. Dr. Sharifi conducts research on water quality and low-cost water and wastewater treatment technologies, where he develops monitoring best practices and technologies for developing countries. Among his current projects are studying groundwater pollution in Turkey, application of based natural seed extracts as coagulation agents for water treatment, and the design of optimum aerobic digesters for treating wastewater. Dr. Sharifi, thank you for your time and welcome to our webinar.
Thank you, Pinar.
Dr. Babak Vaheddoost from Bursa Technical University, Department of Civil Engineering, is the co-private investigator of the Turkish team. He has finished his bachelor's and master's in civil engineering hydraulics. During this period, he was involved in situ, laboratory, and office environment. In 2018, he has started his academic career as an assistant professor at Bursa Technical University, Department of Civil Engineering. Dr. Vaheddoost, thank you for your time and welcome to our webinar. Now, before I take much of your time, I would like to give the floor to our guests in order to introduce their research, the issue that their project addressed, and the importance of it, as well as the particular outcomes of their Newton-funded project to achieve their goals around this global challenge. Professors, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Okay. Pinar, thank you for the introductions. I think we've prepared a presentation and we're going to answer these questions over a presentation. Babak, can you please start?
Okay, I also want to thank for introduction, and it's a great opportunity for us, I think. And I'm going to share some slides, PowerPoint with you. Let me start it. Do you have the screen? Can you see the presentation now?
Yes, we can, Professor.
Okay. First of all, I want to introduce the aim of our study and the study area and why we have tried to apply for such a funding, such a project. And after me, Dr. Sharifi will talk about the details of the outcomes and what we have done by far in the project. So let me start. So the topic was the knowledge transfer and capacity building for sustainable water pollution management in Bursa. For those who are not aware, these are our outlines of the presentation. I will talk about the project and its importance, and then we will talk about the aims and the outcomes of the study. For those who are not familiar with Bursa, it is located in northwest of Turkey. Let me share our laser if I can. Here it is. It's in northwest of Turkey. Actually, it is an important socio-economical hub for the region because there are plenty of water resources, including rivers, lakes, seashores, mountains that are snowpacks for the environment, provide plenty of water for the region, and that makes the Bursa one of the agricultural and industrial zones for the Turkey. And also it provides food and water for the neighboring, let's say, the Istanbul, Izmir, and nearby states. As you can see here, it's a touristic destination. More than 3 million people are living here. There are industrial zones. It is a historic site. As a matter of fact, it dates back to the Greek Imperial and the Ottoman Empire. We've got some serious snowpacks on the top of the Mount Uludağ. It's also a ski resort that are used very often by the sportsmen and the tourists. We also have some permanent lakes that I'm going to talk about. So it is simply one of the most important sites for water and water resources in Turkey. But there's some problem about the water resources recently. This figure, as a matter of fact, as you can see, I've got it from the General Directorate of Meteorological in Turkey. As you can see, almost all of Turkey are under the risk of serious droughts, and Bursa is also in the same condition. We are expecting extreme droughts here, and it will also affect the environment and the entire region. We also have some studies about the meteorological droughts and general state of droughts in the region. And you can see now that in recent years, we've got some serious issues in the amount of rainfall and precipitation in general that are fallen on the ground, and we have got. So one of the main issues is drought, and it's definitely is affected by the climate change or the climate variability. It should be investigated, but unfortunately there are not many serious studies about this kind of topics in the region. So one of the motivations for us was to state and evaluate the situation of water resources in the region. One of the motivations was this, and this is the Google Earth map of the region. As you can see, Bursa city is located just in the center. We have access to the Marmara Sea, that we already know that there is a mucilage problem that thought to be initiated by the water pollution stuff. We've got some permanent lakes. Here is Nick Lake and Ulbat Lake. Here is the Mount Uludağ, the serious snowpack reserve in the region, and we also got many locations that are inhabited by the people. More than 3 million people live here, and by this you can also imagine that how water can be polluted easily, and how our activities can harm the environment. So the other motivation was to define the present and the past conditions about the water pollution in the region. So as I told before, we have got more than 17 industrial zones that are very potential for polluting the water and environment in the region. Here are some of them. And these are the organized ones. Most of them are organized, and by the development and expansion of the city, most of them are almost located within the city borders now. So we have to know about the effect of these organized zones on the life of the inhabitants and the environment as well. So all in all, it was the main motivation. We already don't know what's the situation of water pollution and droughts and even floods in the region. So we have decided to conduct several studies by the help of the University of Birmingham in here. So in general, Bursa, known as the Green Bursa, also is Yeşil Bursa, is an important place for water reserves, but also dealing with several problems like climate change, which is a worldwide issue, droughts, as I already told, water pollution, and the population growth, because the opportunities that industrial and agricultural sectors provide for the people. Many people day by day try to migrate here and live here for the entire of their life, maybe. As you can see here, this is some statistics about the available water in the reservoirs in the region. We have got two main dams in the region. These are the statistics about the reserves. As you can see, by reaching up to 2020s, we've got a serious decline in the amount of water reserves. So here is a good sign of droughts that should be investigated. We also we have got some information about the groundwater wetness percentile in the region that shows a serious degradation in the groundwater resources in the region. And if you are interested in the news, you already have heard about the mucilage problem in the Marmara region, which is also observable in the seashores near Bursa. These were the motivations of our study, and after that we have tried to make a cooperative research by the help of University of Birmingham, and I guess after this slide, Dr. Sharifi will handle the presentation.
Okay. Yes, so thank you, Babak, for the very good introduction. So hopefully now you all have an understanding about the scope of our project and what we were trying to address. Babak, can I please ask you to continue sharing your screen?
Okay.
I'll just talk over your slides. So Bursa is a very interesting area, and as we call it in the hydrologic studies, it's an interesting catchment because of the diverse sources of fresh water, and also because of the many industrial activities and the agriculture activities that take place in this region. So add to that climate change and also water pollution and other problems that we have. This is a very interesting and big problem to address. And so we initiated some contacts, Babak and I, and we started discussing some research, and we realized that if we want to do any meaningful research, we have to understand the system first. So we tried to find the best sources of funding that could support our research and our aims and objectives. And we came across the British Council Newton Fund, and we applied for funding to get some support for our project. So when we started thinking about the project, we had a few objectives in mind. First of all, we wanted to initiate collaborations between the academics in BTU and University of Birmingham. So this wasn't just collaborations between myself and Dr. Vaheddoost, but we wanted to gather a greater number of academics that work in the area of water. So to achieve this objective, we planned a number of visits for the UK team to visit Bursa and have meetings with the different academics from different departments there, and also to hold a seminar on water pollution and to do a workshop on water quality measurement and sensors. And then we also decided to focus our energy and time on understanding the state of water resources in Bursa. And we had planned to do this through site visits, studying the literature, conducting some field work and data collection, and also analyzing the data that we had collected from the literature and from the field work. But unfortunately, COVID arrived and we were limited, especially with regards to our travel. So we had to make some changes in the project, which I will explain later on. So these were the two projects, but as an umbrella project, as a kind of a more important aim, something that would leave the legacy of the project beyond its end date, we also decided to discuss and investigate the potential for having a water research institute in Bursa. So here at Birmingham, we have what we call the Water Research Council, and we have different academics from different departments that work in different areas of water sciences, and we have these teams that work together on different areas of research. So we thought it's good to look and investigate to see whether we can establish a kind of a sister water research institute in Bursa and try to extend our collaborations beyond this project. So these were the three main aims that we started with. so this is, I think, the advertisement that we had for the event that was canceled, unfortunately, in 2020. A team of 4 professors from University of Birmingham were planning to visit Turkey for a number of days. And during these days, many visits with different academics, stakeholders, the industry were planned, and also we were planning to do some site visits. And we had arranged for a seminar session. We were quite interested to invite people from different departments to come and talk to us about their research, so that we see what potential there is in BTU and what problems exist. And we also wanted to use this activity to help early career researchers by listening to the research and providing some feedback. And on top of that, we were planning to do a workshop on water quality monitoring, which unfortunately didn't happen. So yes, so the pandemic started, and we had discussions with the British Council and the Newton Fund, and we were able to come up with a new plan to meet the objectives that we had set, but in a different way. So we still continued doing the research. We have monthly or bi-weekly meetings to discuss and conduct research. We couldn't collect data from the field, so we had to rely much on the data that we got from the literature. And Dr. Vaheddoost managed to get some water quality data from an organization in Bursa, and that was basically the main part of the data that we started analyzing for our research. And all of this ended up in writing a scientific paper. So we have now completed a paper on the state of groundwater quality in Bursa. This is by looking and studying the data that we had over a number of years, and looking at the trends and potential contributors to different types of pollutants in the groundwater. So as Dr. Vaheddoost mentioned, we don't have enough information, let me put it this way, as much as information that we would have liked, but this is part of the research in hydrology and water sciences. We always have to work with what we call ungauged catchments and deal with areas that we don't have much information about, and that's one of the challenges that we were facing. But we did some good work. We used a number of statistical methods, and we did a comprehensive analysis of the state of groundwater pollution, and the paper is getting ready for submission to a journal. So that was one of the activities that we did. Then we decided to continue the networking activities, this time online. So we couldn't travel, but we realized that we can still achieve most of the aims by holding online meetings with academics in Turkey. So we started this. Dr. Vaheddoost extracted a list of many academics in Bursa, and we started contacting them separately, and we've had meetings with a good number of them already, and we aim to continue having these meetings until the end of this project, and perhaps beyond the end date of this project. And what we're planning to do is we are trying to build a kind of a database with the names and details of the researchers that are active in the area of water sciences. And we're going to use this document, and we're going to disseminate this document to all the academics in Bursa and also here in Birmingham, so that at least everybody knows what other people do in other departments. And that's going to be a good foundation for collaborative work. So the work that we're doing, it is multidisciplinary. We're looking at large-scale catchments and modeling different things, including the pollution, including flooding. So it's not just me and Dr. Vaheddoost sitting to solve all the problems. We need to form teams, and that's basically one of the main aims of this project, was to build these networks and to build these teams and get ready to tackle the problems that we identified through this project. We are still going to hold the workshop on water quality sensing, but this is going to be done online. Through this workshop and the seminars that's going to follow, we are going to train the early career researchers, particularly in Bursa. So can you please move to the next slide? So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the outputs and impacts of this project. So, but obviously we had to divert a little bit from what we had planned, but that is part of our work. We always have to think about the risks, and we have to come up with new ways of reaching the objectives that we've set, and that's basically what we try to do. So the outputs that we've had up to now, perhaps the most significant one is a scientific paper on the state of groundwater quality in Bursa. That is something that we have. It is going to be hopefully published soon. We tried to attend several events to raise awareness against drought and pollution. So Dr. Vaheddoost attended a TV program. I think we have a slide where we have a screenshot of him sitting next to a TV presenter. And we also talked about our projects in different events. Here in Birmingham, we have monthly meetings between the people who are part of this water research network. And I have discussed and presented our work to them a few times. And also, this is the Newton for Climate webinar. This is, again, one of the other activities and outputs that we're doing as part of the dissemination of this project. So we couldn't use the budget that we were given to, that was planned to be used for travel. So we thought, what's the best way of using this budget to have the most impact? And we came to the conclusion that if we try to obtain and purchase some water quality sensors for BTU, that would be the best thing to do with this grant. And thankfully, the British Council and the Newton Fund agreed with this proposal. And now we are just in the process of exchanging contracts and transferring funds to BTU, so we can purchase this water quality sensors for the hydraulic slab at BTU. These sensors will remain there and will be used for training of students and researchers, and also will be used for the future projects that we will have. So based on this, we are going to have a training workshop. This is going to be an online workshop for researchers at BTU, and it's going to be focused on using water quality sensors, particularly the ones that are going to be purchased through this fund. And Dr. Vaheddoost and I and a number of other colleagues have thought about how to extend this collaborative research. Well, obviously, the first part was to identify the problems through the literature review and through the discussions and through doing analysis on the data. We've identified a number of topics and problems, and we are looking at different ways to continue collaboration on these areas. Next slide, please. Right, so this is the title of the paper. It's called Groundwater Quality Assessment for Bursa, a multi-catchment region. And it is an interesting paper, and it was quite challenging for us to collect the data and do the analysis, but I think it's going to be quite useful for understanding the bigger picture and also the problem of water pollution in the region. Yes, and this is Dr. Vaheddoost attending a TV interview. Do you want to add some information, Babak, on this event?
No, as a matter of fact, we have attended this TV program and we had a chance to talk about the project as well as the current issues about the water availability in the region and the potential for groundwater and surface water pollution. It was interesting, and it's interesting that it was all prior to the mucilage issue in the Marmara, and maybe if we have initiated some research about the water pollution in the region, maybe we have foreseen the upcoming problem.
Okay. Yes, and so these are just some pictures of the different water quality sensors that we are planning to purchase. So this is a fluorescence spectrometer, which is capable of measuring different types of pollutants. There are other similar instruments like the UV spectrometer, and we have turbidity sensors and other sensors that can measure different characteristics of water. And these are all important for us if we want to have a more detailed view of the state of groundwater. So hopefully, once these instruments are purchased and the staff and the students and researchers are trained on using them, then we can definitely extend these collaborations and do much more impactful research after this. So yes, thank you for listening. These were presented to answer perhaps the three first questions that Pinar asked us, and now we're ready to answer the other questions.
Thank you so much, Professor Sharifi and Professor Vaheddoost. Yeah, I mean, after listening to your presentations, the motivation behind building networks around this project seems very, very sensible and frightening at the same time regarding the decrease in the water reserves and groundwater pollution and the mucilage problem in Bursa. And I would sincerely like to congratulate you to achieve all those outputs despite all of the difficult conditions that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought all around the world. So again, I would like to encourage all of our participants to write their questions in the Q&A section. But before jumping on to that, I have some further questions for our guests, for our professors. And I would like to start the first one, which is more around your partnership, actually. And the question would be like, it has like two parts. And the first is just out of my curiosity, and I wanted to ask whether you had some personal reasons to want to do this study. And the second part would more concentrate on how does this international collaboration benefit to your research, to your own research, and could you maybe mention more about the complementarity between the two institutions and the two research teams regarding this project? And either of you, please feel free to answer.
Okay, so yeah, I can start, and then Babak can complete me if I miss anything. So yeah, well, we are both working in the academia, and I think curiosity is the most important thing that drives us. So Babak contacted me a few years ago, and he mentioned about the state of water resources in Bursa. And he proposed a number of topics, and that basically initiated our discussions. And we started looking at the different problems, and we realized that there are a number of problems that still need to be addressed. Well, these problems are not only specific to Bursa, they are problems that happen other places in the world. And we realized that it is possible to share experiences and to do collaborative and multidisciplinary research to address some of these problems. So here, as most of you probably know, the UK government is promoting collaborations with research collaborations with other countries, especially developing countries, through the different funding schemes that it has. And there is a lot to learn by looking at problems in other areas of the world, and also using the experience of researchers in other areas. So these collaborations started, and we were grateful that we could get this funding, which made everything more serious. We were still planning to do some research, but when this opportunity came up and we were offered this grant, it meant that we could sit down and we could have a more substantial plan with well thought objectives, and that really helped us in connecting better. So this grant was all about researchers' links, so establishing links and networks between academics, and I think we have achieved this main objective of the project. And since then, we've had many meetings between ourselves with the project team members and also other people that were affiliated with our institutions. And it's acted as a vehicle for us not to only understand the problem better, but also to know what potentials and what skills exist in both institutions. And hopefully that's going to lay the foundations for future work in this area.
Thank you. Dr. Vaheddoost, would you like to add something?
I also agree with the Dr. Sharifi. He almost talked about everything. Yes, it is in the nature of the academician stuff that we always try to collaborate with each other from with different academicians from different parts of the world, and there's a great potential between collaboration between us, because Dr. Sharifi and the scholars in the Birmingham University have a good experience in the environmental and issues and the topics about the water and water supplies. Here in Bursa, we also have a good potential in accessing to the regional data and to the fields. And as I said before, Bursa is an important agri-food and socio-economical hub for the region. So it is important to at least know what the situation is here. And after that, after knowing the situation, we can decide how can we extend our research or plan for the future. For example, we can talk and plan for the resilience against climate change and vulnerability, or the issues about the environment. The motivation we had by far is based on these topics, and I personally think that this collaboration will continue, and I'm very pleased to enter and apply for this grant. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and it's really exciting for us to hear that you are content with the collaboration. And from both of you, I have heard some future works and future plans and some expectations from the future of this collaboration. So if I may ask more information around that, more specifically, do you have any specific plans about the future of this collaboration? Are you planning to go on with a follow-up research or different projects?
Absolutely. So as we've already mentioned a few times, this was the initial step. This project was aimed to build the links and the networks. I would say if we don't pursue the next targets and future research, then we would have put some of this project to waste. So we're absolutely looking to extend the collaborations. We've already identified a number of areas related to groundwater pollution, looking at industrial sites, conducting real-time, high-resolution monitoring of groundwater, and also looking at flood resilience and looking at coastal water management and pollution management. So there are a number of topics that we have. We've discussed them in detail. Some of them are mentioned in the paper that we've written. And we will be starting to investigate funding resources and opportunities to continue this collaboration, because some of the research that we do unfortunately requires some support because we use kind of expensive sensors, and we also need to do some field work. And once we have access to these grants, then I'm pretty sure we can put in a good research project together and do some more impactful work in this area.
Okay, I also want to add some things, and I guess we had a question from Erhan Yavaş about the sharing the information with the authorities. As a matter of fact, I wanted to talk about it as well. One of the first aims of the study was to provide ground for a potential water research institute in Bursa Technical University. So Dr. Sharifi already talked about it. So we seriously want to look for the opportunities that if we can initiate such activities and start having a water institute here and continue having cooperations with other institutes. And if we are succeeded in this, it will share. We can easily share the outcomes with the authorities like DSA and BUSKI here in Bursa. We also can promise for continuous collaboration with the authorities and those whom are mostly, let's say, interested in water and environment issue. We also plan for exchange of scholars and students in the future, and maybe we can try have some opportunities for the students and professors in Birmingham University or Bursa Technical University to have a short or long time visits. So that's why we think that this collaboration and this environment expansion can be helpful for us.
Thank you very much. And yes, I was going to mention the questions within the chat bar and the Q&A section. Just before moving on to my last question, I would like to ask a follow-up question on Erhan's question. Apart from the government authorities, do you have any other like private involvement, private companies or NGOs involvement or interest in your project?
So the idea was that when we visit Turkey to hold the workshops, as part of those visits, meeting NGOs and other stakeholders like the water companies and the industries was part of the agenda. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But what we're still trying to do is once we have that seminar event, we're going to recontact the institutions that we know, and we're going to invite them to those seminar sessions. So it's quite important for us to know what all the stakeholders think about the problems and what their approach is to solving these problems. Again, these are big, multidisciplinary, multi-scale type of problems that we are talking about, and we will not be able to achieve a sustainable solution if we don't know what the other stakeholders think about the problem and what approaches they have. I know that one of the main aims of these type of Newton Research Link funds is for people to travel, to come and see and visit and understand the problems firsthand, and to meet stakeholders and talk to them, because there's lots of information that's embedded within institutions that is not published anywhere, or it's not easily accessible. And it's only through having face-to-face discussions is that you understand better what the problems are, what type of information and data is available. And those personal links will definitely help and catalyze the whole research process. We were unfortunate that we couldn't travel, but we will still trying to keep the links open, and we are in touch with a few institutions, and Dr. Vaheddoost can better remember the names, but we have extended our invitations to them. We're going to meet them virtually in the seminar session.
I also can add some information. Yes, actually, we are in continuous collaboration, and we talk with the municipality and the authorities here in Bursa. For example, I will attend a meeting about flood and the effect of climate change on floods in the region in the upcoming weeks. I will definitely talk about this project in the meeting in the municipality of the Bursa. Before the pandemic issue, we also have some had some requests from the NGOs to attend the workshop.
Hello, everybody.
One of them was a community of scuba divers in Bursa, and they were asking about the raising awareness about the sea pollution and the condition of the sea in the region. But unfortunately, after outbreak of the COVID issue, we couldn't handle the webinar, and that's postponed. Yes, that's what I want to add.
Yeah. Although there are some obstacles, it's always good to hear that the plan is one way or another working for the future. So before I go to my final question, I would like to look around for questions from our participants. Maybe this one I can answer for Newton Fund. Saeed Sabah asked, how can we apply for the project or join an existing project or a new project? Regarding the Newton Fund, for now, currently, we don't have any open calls. Usually we go for calls for proposals. But for this year, this financial year, we are not expecting to open a new call. But you can always send us an email so that we can add you to our announcement list, our mailing list. And maybe, Aslı, you can write our generic email to the chat bar. And once we have some information about any further calls, we can send you an email regarding all of the people in the announcement list as well. So all of the participants, you're more than welcome to send your emails to the address that we will be writing on the chat bar, and we can add you to the announcement list. Other than that, we have another question from Hülya Aydemir, and she wants to learn more about the efforts that will be made to improve the water collected in industrial zones. Would you have any idea on that?
So our research was mostly focused on understanding the problem first. So this is the first stage. And what we attempted to do in our research paper was that we looked at a number of water wells where data was already collected. And we tried to analyze this the water's characteristics, looking for different types of pollutants, and then putting these on a map and trying to see if we can associate them with any particular type of industrial activity. Well, obviously, this is a very complex problem. We can't just do this by looking at some measurements in the past. We have to develop some complicated numerical models. We have to go and we have to understand the geology and the soil properties. We have to look at historical precipitation and rainfall records, and we have to build a model for that. But even by looking at this initial data, we were able to identify the most common type of pollutants in at least parts of the region, not the whole catchment. And we have come up with some potential industries which might be the main contributors to these pollution that we found. Although this is a very sensitive issue, it's not very ethical to name anyone or any particular industries, because this obviously needs more investigation. But that is the first step that we've taken. The second step would be building a water quality model and also do further monitoring to understand exactly where this pollution comes from. And then once identified, the third stage will be to help improve the water quality by helping the industries, by helping the policymakers to regulate water quality and water abstraction and wastewater collection. So it's a long-term project. It's not something that we could address within the scope of this project, but that's definitely one of the main goals here, to identify the pollutants, find out where this pollution is coming from, and then help the industries or the municipalities to deal with this pollution problem.
Okay, I can add some words as well. Ms. Julia, believe me, there is a problem, serious problem in accessing about the state of the or definition of the problems about the water and environment in the region. So we have serious concerns about the potential water pollution in the region. So as Dr. Sharifi already said, in this stage we just want to define the situation and know more about the region, and after defining the problems and knowing more about the situation in the region, we would be more specific about some topics and go through it. That's it. And there was a question about the how can we watch the TV interview? Mr. Da Silva asked. I can answer it as well. Mr. Da Silva, it is in Turkish, but in here I can copy paste the link. You can access it from the YouTube channel. It is a local channel, and the interview is in Turkish language.
Thank you very much. Yes, I was going to mention that comment in the chat bar. Dr. Vaheddoost, you're always faster than me. Now, I would like to come to my final question. This will be more of a recommendation sessions from you, valuable professors for early career researchers, actually. I wanted to ask both of you whether you have faced any challenges during your studies and your research, and what would be your suggestions to especially early career researchers who are especially interested in international collaboration?
Okay, I can start again, Babak, if it's okay. So doing research, there's always some risks and some challenges associated with research. If the answers were readily available, then we wouldn't have to do any research. And that's something that we are used to dealing with. And we are trained to deal with uncertainties and also with coming up with plans to address different problems that we face. And yes, we did face a number of challenges throughout this project. As you would expect, the COVID pandemic was the major challenge that we had here. We had to restructure our project. We tried to keep the aims and objectives as much as we could. So one of the things that we couldn't do, which was quite disappointing, was that we had to cancel all our field monitoring, because that would require some teams in Turkey to go and to install some sensors in a water well and collect samples and then take them to the lab and do this analysis, which was unfortunately not feasible considering the rules related to the pandemic and the stay-at-home rules that we had. So what we decided to do was to reshape the project. We decided to use the funding to invest in the research facilities at BTU. So instead of paying an external institution to analyze the data, now we have some of the instruments that we need, and hopefully these will be used for training researchers and also for conducting future research in this area at BTU. So I think this was a great decision, and which was supported by British Council and the Newton Fund. And hopefully that's going to leave the legacy of the project and extend it beyond the end date of the project, and we are quite excited about this. The other challenges that we had was data. So we are looking at studying a catchment where we don't have much data on. This is a common problem in hydrologic studies. We don't always have the data that we need, so we have to come up with new ways of either guessing what the data might look like, or try to approach different institutions that might hold the data that we need. So since we couldn't collect any data ourselves, we searched the literature, we made contact with a number of institutions in Bursa. We managed to get some data. The data had some missing information. There were some anomalies in the data. These were all the different types of challenges that we faced with, but thankfully we were able to use the data to a good extent, and we could find the things that we were looking for in the data.
Okay, I can add some words as well. Okay, so as Dr. Sharifi said, the main problem was the pandemic issue and the distance between us, but we hopefully we can manage to find some solutions instead. So what I can suggest for the audience or the people that would attend or listen to the conversation here or the presentation, we are always welcome the collaborations. They can also get in touch with us. We can also initiate some joint research together. I also advise them to push their limits and be aware, be more challenging about the issue. So we can always find a way or make it through the problems. That's all that I.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very encouraging, and I think it will be quite exciting for the audience to also hear that you're emphasizing more on the international collaboration and calling the participants to have joint research more in different grounds as well. So yeah, I guess my questions were this much, and I don't see any more questions either at the chat bar or at the Q&A session. And actually we have come at the end of our webinar. And I would like to thank you, both of the professors, for taking your time to participate and sharing your experience. And also on behalf of all of the audience, I would like to congratulate you for your project and hopefully see you again in your future collaborations in much more COVID-free environments and physical meetings and workshops, hopefully. And for the audience, I would like to re-emphasize that in the British Embassy Ankara YouTube channel, you can watch the webinars, the Newton for Climate webinars. This was the second one, and this will be uploaded as well. And you can also watch the first one, and the next one, the third one, will be live on 20th of October between 6:30 and 7:30 Turkey time. And this time we will be hosting Professor Ashraf Osman from Durham University, Department of Engineering, and Dr. Nejan Huvash from Middle East Technical University on their project regarding shallow landslide susceptibility mapping in Rize, Turkey. This time we will be on a different region of Turkey. So again, on behalf of all of the audience and our team, we would like to thank our guests and thank you very much for your participation, and hope to see you again in the future programs and projects. So, and the audience, thank you very much for participating, and hope to see you in the future for the Newton for Climate webinars. Thank you very much and have a nice rest of the day.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.